Hello and welcome to PressTV News Analysis. I'm Kavita for you. It's a rout that has pitted Argentina against Spain. Buenos announced the nationalization of oil company YPF, which is controlled by Spain's oil giant Repsol, partly blaming the company for Argentina's energy supply problems. On Spain's side, the UK and the EU, not to mention Chile and Mexico. This concurrent to the row between Argentina and the UK over the Malvinas Islands, known as the Falklands, in which oil and the UK is also at the center of controversy. In this news analysis, we will look at whether Argentina's stance is reflective of other Latin American nations standing up to Western powers.
In a move praised by Argentinians but blasted by Spain, Britain and the European Union, President Cristina Fernandez decreed state intervention in oil company YPF, owned by the Spanish group Repsol, and sent a bill to Congress to expropriate 51% of its shares.
The decision taken by the government of Argentina to announce the nationalization of an important part of the shares of Repsol in YPF is a decision hostile to Repsol and therefore against the Spanish company, and therefore against Spain and the Spanish government.
Joining the furor, British Foreign Secretary William Hague warned Argentina that its, quote, efforts to stimulate a trade surplus through protectionism are counterproductive. The EU's foreign policy chief Catherine Ashton has warned Buenos Aires about the consequences of its move.
As a result of this announcement, we've decided to postpone the EU-Argentina Joint Cooperation Committee, which had been scheduled to take place on Friday this week. The Spanish government has our full backing in this matter.
Argentina has some of the world's largest reserves of shale oil and gas. The Malvinas Islands off Argentina's southern coast are controlled by Britain but claimed by Argentina. Geological surveys show there might be up to 9.5 billion cubic meters of oil under the seabed surrounding the islands. The two countries are currently in a maritime dispute over oil drilling and exploration near the islands. Many observers believe the current row is in line with the West's intention to take control of the world's oil and gas reserves.
Let me introduce our guest political commentator. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of this case, why has Argentina decided this was the time to purchase YPF controlled by Spain?
Well, it's a very complicated situation, but basically because the Spanish oil company Repsol has made no investments whatsoever in YPF, which is the oil company of Argentina. They have practically ripped the company off, which is the way the Spaniards do business in our region. They already did that with the state airline Aerolíneas Argentinas many years back. And definitely, I think it also, we have to be very careful. The reasons why the privatization took place originally and why now nationalization is coming about might be very closely linked with the Kirchner government, Cristina Kirchner, of Argentina's political interest, because just as she is now nationalizing YPF, they were very instrumental, her husband and herself, in originally privatizing it to Repsol, which is a front company for British Petroleum, and Argentina in a way is playing with fire because we have seen the militarization of the entire oil industry in the hands of the British and the Americans, as the Iraqis, the Libyans, and the Afghanis have been learning in the past years.
Okay, you made an interesting point. So is this rise, this stance by Latin American countries going to yield results? What effect is that going to have on their relations with the UK and the EU in particular?
Yeah, I think we have to be very careful because let's not forget that Britain, especially, has 5 centuries of colonial experience, and they know how to generate and handle very complex situations. For example, just as we know that the global power masters, the global power structure that is embedded inside the United States, inside Britain, inside the European Union, and even inside Israel, are the ones that really call the shots, as we have seen in Italy and in Greece, where trilateral commission members have been imposed upon those countries as heads of state. Also, we have to be very careful that Repsol, from its very founding, has always been in the hands of people from the Trilateral Commission, including present CEO Antonio Brufo. Argentina, when it privatized YPF, that was done by former President Menem and his finance minister Domingo Cavallo, who is also a Trilateral Commission member. So in a way, what I'm scared is that what might be happening is that Britain might be, together with the United States, maneuvering so that Argentina will take a series of steps we must step very carefully, as happened with the Malvina Islands, where we took military action, and that ended very badly for us. Now Argentina has nationalized, supposedly, YPF, and yet what they don't say is that a large share of YPF, which is not going to be nationalized, is in the hands of pro-Zionist interests. For example, the Eskenazi family in Argentina, they hold 25%. Lazard Frères, they have about 6%. Goldman Sachs have a sizable share. The local Huertain, very pro-Zionist group here, has about 3%. So if you add them all up, about 40% of YPF is still in the hands of extremely pro-Zionist interests, both in Argentina and outside of Argentina. Now, we know that Israelis and Zionists have been roaming Patagonia, the southern part of Argentina, very uninhabited, for years. So this might be a repositioning in the grand chessboard where Repsol might be put aside for a while, as they already have served their purpose, and now we are going into a much more formal Zionist control of Argentina's oil through YPF, which might look like it's nationalized, but it really is being controlled by their interests, and the government, the present government of the Kirchners, are themselves accountable for having made one of the most atrocious privatizations, or having supported it 20 years ago. Unfortunately, we all know that the United Nations is absolutely aligned, or at least the Security Council is, to British, American, and European interests, or French interests, should I say. So what I think will happen is those complaints will just stay at that. The British know that the only language that Britain and America know is force. And since Argentina lost the 1982 Falkland-Malvinas War, unfortunately, we were forced to sign our own Treaty of Versailles, so to speak, back in 1992. And basically what it all boils down to is that Argentina has no military dissuasion capability to even make the British grow pale. So there is no chance whatsoever that Argentina will ever be able to exert credible military dissuasion power against Britain, against the United States, at a time when Britain has practically set up even a nuclear base around the Malvinas. They are already exploiting with U.S. and U.K. companies the oil under the continental shelf. And just to make sure that the geopolitical message is clear, the United States, George W. Bush, reactivated the Fourth Fleet, the Fourth South Atlantic Fleet that had been created during World War II, deactivated in 1953, and very interestingly, now it's been put back in force, to great concern of Argentina and Brazil. So I think that one way or another, our continent, the South American continent, has to come together, especially Venezuela, Brazil, Argentina, Colombia. There are signs that that is happening, as we saw in the 6th Summit of the Americas last weekend. But the military factor, unfortunately, is a key factor, because in the long run, the United States and Britain, the only language that they will really bow to is force.
Right, and that's the language that I think was used at the Summit of the Americas. Thank you very much, Shabir Razvi there from London. We were unfortunately out of talking to us from Buenos Aires. So thank you for watching another edition of the PressTV News Analysis. Newsroom at PressTV.ir is our email address for any comments or suggestions from me, and the entire team. It's goodbye.